Analyst Dr. Bob, just step in here. A year and a day, somehow it's right in the middle of the parameters that we were hearing about as far as sentencing. What's your take on that?
Well, I think a lot of people may have actually expected a little more lenient sentence, but what Judge Spencer said was that it was very puzzling trying to simply understand who Maureen McDonnell was. He says the defense put forward a defense, he said, that was to throw her under the bus. He said then ultimately they wanted to throw Mama off the train. He said, and today it was very bizarre, he said, because you heard a very different story about Maureen McDonnell. She was no longer the person looking for luxury goods. She was the person who wanted to stay at home in sweatpants and flip-flops.
Well, and it's interesting you say that because many of the people that had testified for the governor had, as you said, in the words of one witness, thrown her under the bus. And then they had some of those same people then were writing letters on her behalf or speaking on her behalf, slightly tweaking that description to say she's not the crazy woman that we depicted, rather somebody suffering from a disorder, an anxiety disorder.
Right, and I think what you saw today was that the judge expressed his discontent with that defense. He basically said he didn't think it was the right way to go, bringing that defense into the courtroom, and that what he heard today, he said, fleshed out a far more complicated picture. But at the same time, he said they were still co-defendants, they were co-conspirators, and that while she was not the elected official, he could not find a way to simply allow her not to go to jail, and he sentenced her to half the time that he sentenced Governor McDonnell.
So now we have both parts of this couple sentenced to prison. Bob is out on appeal. Maureen's attorneys have said they will offer an appeal. Yet the sentence, as you said, is a pretty solid sentence given the parameters that we're talking about. Is this sending a message at the same time as it is resolving this case?
Well, certainly I think Judge Spencer wants to send a message that he believed that the actions they took were good people who did bad things that were illegal. Clearly, the governor and Maureen McDonnell thinks that the law under which they were convicted was too vague and too broad. They continue to profess their innocence. They'll both be out on bail awaiting appeal, but clearly this was a message that Judge Spencer sent, that he felt that they were co-conspirators and that he could not simply believe that this was just an honest mistake that Maureen McDonnell did out of anxiety.
All right, Bob, I want you to stand by. We're going to come back to you in just a moment or two. But again, you've been listening to our political analyst, Dr. Bob Holsworth, describing the impact of this sentence. Again, a very brief hearing, relatively speaking, given the length of the hearing that we saw for sentencing of former Governor Bob McDonnell. We heard from just over a half dozen witnesses. I want to bring in our reporter.